job without me. Paltiel mentioned that he's thankful. He's thankful to Lubavitcher Rebbe for sending his shluchim, his emissaries, to the campuses and everywhere else that he met Chabad, and they brought him to a point where he's at today. So I'll start with a story, and I'm going to try to take you into a different world than you're at right now. So you have to kind of try to leave your mental state. Because this story happened 100 years ago, or more actually, probably 110 years ago, in the city of Lubavitch. You heard Chabad. Lubavitch is synonymous with Chabad. The city in which Chabad was for 102 years, which cultivated its philosophy and its ideology, was the city called Lubavitch in White Russia. Belarusia today it's called. And they had a yeshiva there, a Lubavitch yeshiva. And the Lubavitch yeshiva was such a yeshiva that groomed very, very special students who became guides, mentors, and teachers to many, many Yidden, many Jews throughout Russia and throughout Ukraine. And later, when Stalin in the 1920s began with his edict of closing Jewish institutions, Talmud Torah, schools, mikvahs, cheters, the previous Rebbe, Rabbi Yosef Yitzchak, before our Rebbe, the sixth Rebbe of Lubavitch, he asked for a group of 10 people who would be willing to sacrifice their lives to continue teaching Torah in Russia, Ukraine, although they might be killed and it hurt their family. And they gave their lives by making a pact with the Rebbe. And we know some of those people, some who survived and some who died. And because of them, Lubavitch survived and made its way later through surviving the previous Rebbe, that is Nazi Germany and the Holocaust. And he came to America, and Chabad began in 1940 in Brooklyn, New York. 770 was acquired then, bought. The building belonged to a doctor who was doing illegal abortions at the time, was arrested, and he was in big trouble, and they were looking to sell the building, and exactly at that time, the Lubavitcher Hasidim found the right building because the previous Rebbe was in a wheelchair and he needed an elevator to go from his apartment on the second floor to the downstairs to the shul. So this building, 770, was picture perfect for what they needed. And from 1940 till today, the building of 770, which Paltiel mentioned earlier, I believe, is the symbol of Chabad in America and for the entire world. But, you have to know where you come from. You have to know your roots. If you don't know your roots, it's a problem. You have to know your roots and hopefully learn to appreciate your roots. Where do you come from? Young people, and I was once younger, the mindset is we're going to live forever, and we're going to conquer the world, and we're going to accomplish things that no one has accomplished before, and that's very healthy. That is very, very healthy. But at the same time, there are roots, and the roots of today's Chabad are the roots of what the Rebbes and Hasidim did 110 years ago. And now to the story. That's an introduction. So, in Chabad we have something called a mashpia. A mashpia, in the Jewish world, is something we all know of a Rosh Yeshiva, the head of a yeshiva, right? In Chabad, they coined a phrase, and not only a phrase, a word, but actually an individual who was called the counselor, the spiritual counselor for the students. And in Hebrew, that's called mashpia, M-A-S-H-P-I-A. The mashpia usually was an older person who came from a previous generation, and therefore he shared with the new, younger generation what he saw and learned from the past. One of the mashpiyim in Lubavitch was a Jew by the name of Reb Michael Beliner. And he was also called Reb Michael der Alte, Reb Michael the Old Man, and Reb Michael Nevler. He had three ways he came from a city called Nevel. And this Reb Michael was a very, very pious individual, Hasidic individual, holy individual. He was so holy that although he was blind towards the end of his life, the fifth Lubavitcher Rebbe who founded the yeshiva decided to hire him to be one of the mashpiyim in the yeshiva, although he was pretty much blind. And money was very tight, of course. So the administration came to the Rebbe at one point and they said, we don't have the funds to feed the boys and to pay our bills, and you're hiring someone who's blind, half blind, he's an old man. And the Rebbe said, and this is what I want you to hear, the Rebbe said, just to see such a person is worth every amount of money, everything that we pay him, which wasn't much, of course, it's worth it, because just look at this man and you will be your best. So this is the type of individual Michael is. Postscript, it's Friday afternoon. It's a winter in Lubavitch. And a winter in Lubavitch is not like snow in New York or Boston. Boston gets lots of snow. But a winter in Lubavitch meant you couldn't walk on the gravel, on the dirt roads. It was, and in comes a visitor. He comes into the yeshiva base medrash, to the study hall, and it's already 1 in the afternoon. Everyone has gone already back to prepare for Shabbos, because Shabbos, I think in 3:34 it's already Shabbos. Everyone's gone. There's only one person in the study hall. One person, Reb Michael, and the visitor looks at him, but he can't see him. You know why he couldn't see him? Because he was covered with a talis. His head was covered with a talis because he was still praying. He was davening. He was davening for hours because he was so pious and so Hasidic and so religious. This visitor who just came and made it to Lubavitch and was traveling already for a long time was full of dirt and schmutz. And Shabbos is coming. You all know that when Shabbos comes, you're supposed to look your best, act your best, feel your best, and be clean, as clean as possible. Well, this individual's shoes were full of mud, dirt, and he felt, how can he go into Shabbos with such schmutz, with such dirt? So he knew Reb Michael from the 2 years before when he came to visit Lubavitch, and he finally saw under a talis, this is the mashpia, Reb Michael, who's davening, and I'll ask him if he has a brush to polish my shoes. And this way, when Shabbos comes, I'll have clean shoes. But he's ambivalent because he's davening. He doesn't want to disturb this genuine chassid who's in the middle of meditative prayer. So he waits, and he waits, and he waits, and finally, he can't wait any longer because it's now 2:30. Shabbos is an hour and a half. I got to get ready. So he taps Reb Michael on the shoulder and he says, Reb Michael, I'm really sorry for bothering you, but I need to ask you for something. So he said, took his talus off and he says, sure, what can I do for you? So he says, do you happen to have a brush so I can polish my shoes? I don't know how today, but in the old days, that's the way you polished your shoes, with some dye and with a brush, and you rubbed it on the shoes and you cleaned your shoes that way. Anyway, so Michal looks at him and he says, I have a question. Before I give you a brush, I have a question to ask you. Because a Jew doesn't answer a question. He answers the question by asking another question. So he asks him, where did you come from and why did you come? He said, I came from the city of Moscow. It took me a week to 2 to get here. Okay, and he says, why did you come? He says, because every 2 years I want to spend the Shabbos with the Lubavitcher Rebbe, of Sholem Ber at the time, the 5th Rebbe of Chabad, and with the Hasidim. And I want to be at the Farbrengen, I want to be at the Maimer, I want to hear the words of Torah, I want to really be inspired. So I'll re-energize my batteries for another 2 years. He says, aha! So you came to Lubavitch, you came to Chabad, Paltil says he came to Chabad, you came to Chabad because you want to be with the Hasidim, with the Rebbe, with the Farbrengen, with the Hasidus. You want to be in that holy spiritual environment. He says, yes. He says, yes. So he says, if that's the case, listen to me, he says, in Lubavitch, we come not to brush our shoes, but to brush our head. Explanation. That's the end of the story. In Chabad, it's not about a shoe operation, an activity operation, but rather about changing what we call the paradigm, changing the way you think about things. And that's why you come here, to brush away the way that you thought life should be in every aspect of life, from business to studying at school, from being religious, whatever you have to somehow make a paradigm shift. And that's actually what Elul is about. We're in the month of Elul. Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur is coming. You're all going to run to shul. Who's not going to be in shul? I'm sure everyone here will be in shul. For a little more, a little less. Right? And Yom Kippur is going to come, and you'll bang away Al-Chet 5 times. And you'll sing Avinu Malkeinu, and maybe you'll even shed a tear. And Elul will come. You'll stand the whole time, face the ark, the Torah and the ark. You got to prepare. If you don't prepare, you'll do the act. We will do the act, but will it be meaningful? And number 2, will it leave an indelible impression on us to make a real change? In Chabad, it's about making real changes. Superficial changes, you got plenty of other opportunities. In Chabad, it's a system of changing the paradigm. Now, this doesn't mean to say you have to be morbid and you have to walk around with your face down and never smiling and you can't have a l'chaim. Absolutely not. On the contrary. Lubavitch Chassidim are the happiest Chassidim. The happiest. But it comes from an inner happiness. And that's my question that I want you to think about. Who can raise their hand here and say, I am happy inside? Dennis Prager is a famous Jewish speaker, and talk show host. There used to be in Los Angeles, when I lived there, there still is the Sephardic temple. People made weddings there. And they had Monday nights a program called Classes for the Masses. Every Monday night, young people like yourselves, mostly single, would come, boys and girls, men and women, and they would have different speakers. I spoke there several times, many others, rabbis, professionals, to give the attendees. They paid $5 to get in. There were refreshments, and they had a chance to speak. Men and women, male and females, to hopefully make shidduchim, whatever, dating, And it was a very, very nice environment. And the shul is a Sephardic shul. It's magnificent. It's royal. It's bright. It's large. Dennis Prager is speaking. And Prager's really known in LA especially, the room was packed. And he asked the following question: how many of you here can raise your hand and say, I am happy with the work I do, with my job? Some hands go up, many hands don't go up. Then he says to those that raise their hand and they say they're happy with their job, he said the following: how many of you can say and raise your hand that not only are you happy with your job, but you're happy with your job and you get paid for it as well? And less hands went up. What's the point I'm getting at? We have a job. A Jew, a Yid, has a job. What's our job? Our job is to be ourselves inside happy and to make others happy. And what is happiness? Not drinking, not smoking. Those are all external things. Happiness is from the inside. What does it say in Pirkei Avos, Ethics of the Fathers? Hasameach bechelkoi. If you're happy with what you have, as little as it is or as great as it is, you're a happy person. And with that, I want to teach you a nigun. We don't have much time to Farbrengen tonight because there's a Ma'ariv and I'm sure people have to go to work tomorrow. So this is just a beginning. And at another time, when there's no time constraints, we can Farbrengen much longer. So, l'chaim, l'chaim. And this nigun my father heard in 1959 and 770. He came from Eretz Yisrael. He's coming to get married, to work and make money to support a family, and to see the Rebbe and be with Chassidim, and to learn. Well, he wants to do everything. 1958, actually. What happens? He comes into 770. It was Thursday night, Moshe, not like tonight, right? And his friends from Eretz Yisrael that already made it to America, because many people left Eretz Yisrael because the economy was very difficult. The opportunities that there are today were not then. And he hears them singing a song which he taught me, and I'm going to sing and teach you if you'll be attentive and take it in. Okay? First listen to the song, and then we can maybe hum it together, and then maybe even sing it together. The song has a few words in it. Some of you might come from Russian background, so you should know. Lubilya. Right? Lubavitch. What does Luba mean in Russian? Love. Right? Who doesn't want love? Everyone wants love. Lubilya. Maya. Sluzhba. Krepko. I really love my job. Here it goes. Let me sing and then, okay? I'll teach it to you properly. Lubilya Maya Sluzhba Krepko. Lubilya Maya Sluzhba Krepko. I did it, I did it, I did it, I did it, That's the first eye to the eye. Now goes the second eye to the eye. And your voice goes up and deeper. Listen to the voice. I did it, I did it, I did it, I did it, What's the meaning of the song? Hold on. Do I really love my job? Do I really love my job? Sometimes I do, and sometimes I don't. Today I did it, but when I access my soul, I surely love my job. 20 years ago, this week, King George in Yerushalayim, the Sbarro pizza store, is bombed. I'm sure you've passed that corner and probably ate in that pizza store. How do you love God when a bomb falls on a pizza store in Yerushalayim? How can you say, I love God? And then at the other times when you have great things happen in your life, you say, I love you. So there's a query, there's a question. Do I love him or don't I love him? The nigun that I just shared with you is telling us the story. The story begins with a question, and if you don't question yourself, then you need a good Farbrengen, because everyone has a question. Is there anyone who doesn't have a question? Is there anyone here that could say that they always have it rosy and great? No. So therefore, you ask yourself, do I love my job? And then you answer.
Food's here.
And then you answer, sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. And the final resolve is, but when I reveal my neshama, my soul, I really love my job. So let's now sing it together, a little faster, but with that in mind. Okay? Now you guys help me. Lubilya Maya Slushba Krepka. Hey, Lubilya Maya Slushba Krepka. Hey, hey, yay, let it, yay, let it, yay, let it, yay, let it, hey, la da, la da, la la la. Hey, yay, let it, yay, let it, yay, let it, yay, let it.
Going to the office tomorrow.
What'd you say? Yes.
My father was born in Ukraine.
Yes.
He said that this song was originally an army song.
He saw what?
Originally an army song.
Yeah.
And then they changed it. And then the Rebbe, either the Friedrich Rebbe or the Rebbe changed this.
Could be.
And made it into a nigun.
I heard that the Chassidim, but it's the same. Yeah. Anyway, so what's your krepka? Zlushba krepka. What is dear to you? What is dear to you?
I love my krepka.
What is dear to you, Paltiel? What is dear to you? Elikus? Godliness? Godliness.
Let me tell you.
Godliness. Not women and not music. Godliness.
Not beautiful women, not beautiful.
God's not there?
God can be there, but it has to begin with God.
Oh, yeah.
Anyway, say l'chaim, Paltiel, it's your mother's yard site.
That's why you said the sinner first before the woman.
Right. Say l'chaim. And I see that there's been an upgrade in you since I saw you last. You have now a full beard.
No, he always had.
It's less tikkun u'klali.
Yeah, tikkun u'klali, whatever it is. But one thing I want to tell you is that you made a good investment.
Thank God.
You know why you made a good investment? Because it says in the Zohar HaKadosh.
Amen.
It says in the Holy Zohar that a beard is tikkunei dikne of rachamim.
Here, I'll sit here.
That means it's strands
1,000 people.
bringing rachamim, mercy, bracha.
Okay, guys, l'chaim. I just want to share one thing. Yo, Chevra, I know you guys got first dibs on the sandwiches in the back, so y'all better check it. I don't want to hear anything out of you guys. Check it.
Mouth should be full.
Guys, l'chaim. Guys, I just want to...
He also wants quiet, you see?
Yeah. I just want to... I want to share... Most of you guys just heard my story, the people that were here. I want to share one pivotal moment. Guys, my holy brothers.
Hostess with the mostest.
My holy brothers. I want to share one pivotal moment that was a game changer in my life, okay? This is it. And I'm going to give it full detail. I'm going to give it my all, everything. And I think this was such a game changer in my life because it differentiates between a chassid, just a chassid. I'm not going to speak out that. There's only a chassid, but there's this, guys. When I was choosing, we spoke about my life story when I was going when I first got to Mayanot, and I had the opportunity when I got back to Cincinnati, Ohio, and I planned to go to yeshiva for a year. There was a lot of wealthy people in the Cincinnati that offered me different opportunities. And they said, like, yo, go to Esha Kodesh. They said, go to Esha Torah. And after that, and other people... They have the best view. They said, go to Esha Torah, they have a very nice view. Other people said, go to Har Nof, it's very nice. It's Machon Yaakov, Machon Yitzchak. A lot of different opportunities. Guys, you hear me in the back?
Yeah.
I'll stay on here. I don't mind.
Do it.
I didn't pay for the square footage for no reason. I mean, actually, it's Hashem's credit card, so I'll sit. But anyways, guys, so I get to Crown Heights, and at this point in my life, I don't know what yeshiva to go to. I just went to Mayanot for 6 weeks. I was very inspired. But I come back to my community, and my community leader is like, yo, go to Aish, I'll pay for everything. I'll give you 15 grand, I'll pay for your cell phone, I'll pay for your chicken wings, I'll pay for your nights out, I'll give you a whole stipend. Everything's paid for. So I was like, oh, it sounds very nice, you know, Chabad on campus never offered me that, you know. So I get back, and they said, maybe you should go back to Israel. Go back to Israel, go try out these yeshivas. So I went back to Israel for 6 weeks. I went to every single yeshiva, one by one. Machon Yaakov, Machon Shlomo, I went to Esha Kodesh, I went to,
Esha Torah.
Esha Torah. I keep getting, because I'm also very connected to Moshe Weinberger, very sweet. I went to Esha Torah, I went to each place for a week. And I spent time there. And I get back, and on my flight back, I found myself in Crown Heights. When I get to Crown Heights, it happens to be during Simchas Torah. And guys, anybody that spent time in Crown Heights, Yo. I'm sorry, my holy brother's back there. Come on. You guys got first dibs on sandwiches. What's going on over here? So when I got back to Crown Heights, it was Simchas Torah. Have you guys ever spent Simchas Torah in Crown Heights?
Nope. Yes.
You have. Have you? Okay. Let me tell you about Simchas Torah in Crown Heights. The kids are very, very quick. Okay. So there's an idea also when you're partying, you're Farbrengen, you're drinking, you're davening and drinking. That there's a lot going on. But there's an idea, something I never heard at this point in my life.